Okay, so we'll start with the cross-legged again for a bit. So, to the everyday busy mind, which is, totally common and normal, stillness can be uncomfortable because that mind is so disconnected from what we're feeling usually, because it's so intent upon getting somewhere. That's the whole nature of it. It's getting there. It's never there. It's just getting there. And so there's never that feeling of, I've arrived. It's good enough. There's always just this feeling of incompleteness. And that's the nature of that mental programming I was speaking of. Which is so funny because we're never anywhere else. In reality, we're never anywhere else but here. We never will be anywhere else but here. So when we talk about that here and now, again, it's not a concept, it's reality. Everything else is imagined or remembered, but this is the real moment. So stillness is actually in that once the forward momentum of our daily lives can kind of stop and slow down and get a sense of landing where we are, the same stillness becomes a feeling of bliss. It's a simple bliss of just being present. There's no bells and whistles. It's not like, a huge kind of aha. It's a soft aha. It's subtle, but very profound, very deep. So when we stop, when we get still, it's like going on strike. We're going on strike with the everyday, noisy, busy, frantic energies. Even if we don't consider ourselves frantic, relative to peace, total peacefulness, basically it's all frantic. So that leads us to the awareness that there's a letting go. There's some kind of letting go. Some kind of surrender, some kind of sacrifice in a way. And that's a sacrifice of that part of us that's identified with getting there. So that can actually be uncomfortable, even subtly uncomfortable, like a little nagging sensation of, what time is it? Are we done yet? That kind of thing. And when we notice that, then it doesn't have any power over us anymore. So it's like we're almost expecting that urge to get on with it, get to the next thing, and then we can smile and we come back to the breath. And every time we remember, every time we let go, we gain our power back. Just every time we do that, stronger and stronger we get in being here. And that's why we take this time at the beginning, because if we don't start this way, we're going to go into the postures the same way we're used to. So just feel your breath coming in and flowing out right where we sit. And every in-breath, just add a little bit more of The pull of a deeper breath, when you draw in more breath, that pull is actually a statement that we're making. And it's something, if it were put to words, it would be like, I want to be here. I want to be alive. I want to feel. And breath is a statement, a powerful statement. The exhale is another kind of yes. It's another kind of I want to be here, and it's a letting go. It's the dropping. It's the surrender. But as we discovered yesterday, it's not a two-part breath, because that implies a separation. It's just like night and day can't really be divided with a distinct line. It's the same thing. Everything is seamlessly woven together. So we really want to notice inhales as they softly come to their peak and then softly round into exhale. And then same thing at the exhale, just curves at the bottom. And so the breath is the teacher for our brains in a way, helping our brains get into that deep, coherent state. So if we were measuring our brain waves right now with like heart math or something, we would actually see the effect. But more importantly, we feel the effect. And just like yesterday, we'll just briefly touch through some basic positions from the seated. When we bring our hands to the floor in front of us or wherever they naturally place for you, notice what appears. Just literally meeting yourself. And the breath is to say yes to whatever is appearing. And then from that place, we're just turning to face the right leg. So since it's just you and I'm acting as your mirror today. I'm going opposite of you, but just think of me as your mirror. So we're going facing the right leg and noticing. Notice that you can come forward further, but it's not required. It's just a direction that you can venture deeper, just to taste it and then dial it in. Once you know your options, we intuitively know where it feels the best. So we just zero in on that place, breathe, and yet we're open to it changing at any given moment. A feeling of wanting to sink in further or back away, like you were expressing. And breath. And then today we're going to take it just a little bit further to the right. So if you were sitting on a kind of medicine wheel, you would go to that line that's directly to your right, leaning onto that right hand. And then we're going to send that left arm outward, the opposite direction. And then that slowly goes to up. And then that up slowly becomes a soft curve over the head. Something about this motion that I find gives us access to the deeper chest cavity. As I was saying yesterday, the positioning of your arm has a lot to do with what's going on inside. So if you move your arm around even just a little bit, see if you can sense the effects in the deeper chest cavity. And dial it in until you get that feeling of really connecting to that heart center. And then that arm's going to come slowly back down to the earth. And we're going to start by coming back to the center and turn to the left leg. Soft rotation. And even leaning over that leg to whatever degree your tissues are ready for. And just remember that breath. Every breath is a statement. Inhale is the invitation of renewal. The exhale is really the letting go, the shedding. And continue directly to your left with the support of your left hand there, short distance to your side as an angled kind of pillar. Then that right arm will float outward the opposite direction. Notice what's going on inside your chest as it moves up and over the head. One of the visuals I play with is imagining myself as an energy field without any specific form. And that energy field is what is feeling the body. So every posture is a way of allowing your energy, your awareness to embody, to really reach into all the cracks and crevices and spaces of the body. So every posture is just another way in. And then let that arm slowly come back down when you arrive into more vertical spine again. Touching in yet another direction, we're going to actually just stay in vertical spine, but turn as though to spin your shoulders around the spine. Less is more for this twist especially. We're making it a point to not get stretchy with it. We just want to kiss the spine, if you will, from the bottom to the top. I like to imagine sneaking past the muscles and the bones, the more physical, denser stuff, and right into the fluid of the spine, which really carries the current of everything we feel. So you can think of your spine as housing the central, like the trunk of the tree, of everything you feel. And when you breathe, see and feel the breath moving through your spine. The head can also turn to the right a little bit. As soon as it feels stretchy, you know you've gone too far and you just back off just a little bit. This is the finest line of all, really of all the postures, because there is such a thing as too little and too much. And there's a very fine line right between, and that's where we want to hang out. Another visual I play with is imagining the body is way, way bigger than you normally see it. You know, if you want to give it a size, imagine that you literally sit 100 feet tall. You're really big. So something about this, when you move and you imagine yourself big, and if it helps, close the eyes, smaller movements seem to be bigger as well. And you just turn slowly through the center, through to the other side. Taking over the normally automatic narration of our bodies. So there's that deep programming we inherited from our culture, from our parents and their parents before them, all the way back to time immemorial. And a lot of that programming is automatic. So we want to start to play with, loosening the confines of that automatic image. And thank you for uncrossing your legs there without waiting for me. I appreciate that. Good, then we're going to come back. So little things like that. We just change the narration. We imagine that we're really big, for example, and that gives us a different experience of relating to the body. Let's let the legs go. You've already gone straight legs, but we're going to go there anyway and let the hands support us on the floor behind us. Reach into the heels, reach into the toes, again like you're trying on your legs for the first time. Imagine how it would feel for somebody who never had use of their legs or lost the use of their legs. And imagine what it would feel like to get that back, to suddenly be able to feel your legs again. It's that intensity of awareness that really is the key. And then, like we did before, we're going to venture forward. A forward fold may not look like a forward fold at all. It may just be sitting up. Your hands can stay as supports and even guides on the floor behind you. Or if it's more natural, you can bring the hands in the lap. And we're going to spend some time here again and just let things release and melt and dissolve. If we can even feel our thoughts, and that means the smallest actual physical movements are huge. Even just thinking about going further forward can be felt in the tissues. And it's a great way to converse with the body, to present the idea to the body, to imagine going further forward. And if the body says, I don't think so, then you stay where you are. And if it says, yeah, give me more, like when you're getting a really good massage and you want your massage therapist to go deeper, imagine that your body is like the client, the massage client, and is constantly speaking to you. And you're the therapist, and you're in charge of making sure you go deep enough without going too deep. But you're also the massage client, and the massage client's role is to breathe, to not fight the therapist, and to let go of stuff. Another tool we can introduce is the tool of the 1 to 10 scale, or whatever scale, 1 to 100, 1 to 1,000. And I want you to rate the intensity level of your stretch right now in your mind from 1 to 10-ish. And let's say it's 6 or 5 or something like that. And just start to back away and count. Feel the intensity level of the stretch dissipating as though we're going down the scale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And really notice when you get to 0, there's no stretch anymore. It's just the after effect. The tingles and the buzzes and whatever else you notice. And be with that. Good. And once that feels as though it's digested, integrated, we'll venture forward a second time, even the tiniest bit. And you might even go not as far the second time. You might have sensitized so much that you can even just go less of a distance and feel it penetrating even deeper. Every posture can have countless variables too. So in other words, things that you can adjust to refine your exploration. And so one variable that you can play with is the slightest tilting from the left to the right, right to the left. And just, sometimes call this scanning. So as you tilt left and right, it's like you're scanning your options here. Sometimes maybe one of the legs wants more attention. Or maybe it feels imbalanced at the center and you lean till you get that sense of equal length in the legs. So the body, we don't always have to impose an exact symmetry on the body, in other words. Also remember that the head and shoulders can round. If you want to go into the back at all, they can round forward. If we remember that it's a massage, we're much less likely to wait, to find ourselves waiting because we're getting a massage. If it's a good massage, we never want it to be over. So we're always making sure it's a good massage. And the breath is a huge aspect of that. Before we back away again, just present the opportunity to your body to go sink in deeper if need be, to just see, just as an experiment, if things have yielded. You just want to try it out and go a little further forward and just touch that edge kindly. And then just like we're going down the scale again, we're at whatever that number is, but make it smooth. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. We take a moment on the support of the hands on the floor behind us to just let that sink in. Notice if the space between now feels different than the first time. And we're going to start to slide the feet backwards so the feet are flat on the floor, knees bent. And remember the weight distribution aspect. So our weight is distributed over the feet, the seat, and the hands. If we take the seat out of the equation, we start to leave the ground. There is an instantaneous and perfect transmission of that support to the feet and the hands. And then we just float upward until it doesn't feel floaty anymore. Then back off just a little bit. And that breath. That breath is like the hot air of a hot air balloon, creating the floatiness. And then we'll return to the seat again, watching the perfect smooth transition as we return to the seat, and the support that was required of the arms and legs is reduced, and then we bring the hands off the floor, arms around the legs. Good. So the weight of the body is not dead weight, it's alive weight. In other words, it's not just like the weight of an inert, inanimate object. The way our bodies are designed, we can turn that gravitational pull into energy. So one example of that is to bring the arms off the legs and notice now your weight is not supported by your arms anymore, but something has taken over. And that's that core. And that's energy. We can feel that energy. It's not just flexing muscles. It's gathering of energy, heat there. So we're turning our weight, our body's weight, into energy. So it's a live weight. And the arms are just floating at our sides. First time around, we're just simply going into whatever our default position is here in terms of the pelvis and everything else, and leaning back only to the degree of intensity you like. Again, use the scale if it helps. Go to 5, venture into 6, 7, see if that's too hot, back off, that kind of thing. Most important is that we're making friends with this. We're not enduring it or tolerating it. We really actually want to enjoy it. We want to feel like our breath just wraps around it. We're calm and relaxed, and we're not efforting the strength. The strength is just there. And we let it nourish us. We let it even energize us instead of tax us. Turn it into food. And then let the arms come back to the legs the way they were. The arms take over. That means the core softens again, and the energy still lingers. Good. Second round, we're always wiser. We go in even more aware. Arms leave the legs, and we lean back until the intensity level pleases us. Then back off a scotch and explore with pelvic tilt. This may take a little practice, but you want to feel the ability to tilt your pelvis back so you feel like you're more on the back of your tailbone, and tilt the pelvis forward, which usually feels like you're sitting on the bottom, the bony bottom of the pelvis, even through the flesh. And that allows us to touch into a deeper aspect of the core. We want to keep it on the mellow side so that it can be a joyous reunion. Giving ourselves to be gentle is what allows us to potentially turn up the intensity level from choice rather than force. And then we're going to turn to the left just a little bit and allow this energy that's reaching our deep core to really permeate the sides. Slowly from the left to the right. Awesome. Back to the middle, and the arms meet the legs again. Relax and let that integrate. So this mental programming I keep referring to, it views the body almost like a machine, like a bunch of things put together into one body. And our anatomy drives this point home. We look at the body as dissected into gazillions of different muscles and parts and components. But that's not how we grew. So the mental idea we have about the body is actually impeding our strength. It's blocking us from our strength. So we want to see the body not as the sum of its parts, but as just one whole to begin with. Everything in your body is one. In that sense, there is no upper body or lower body. That's a concept, an imposition. So when we go off the arms a third time, off the arms and leaning back a third time, and we start to wake up the core again, the visual that we want to have is almost like dissolving that imaginary boundary we've drawn in our minds between upper body and lower body, somewhere around the waist. Imagine dissolving that, like you're putting your upper body and lower body back together and melding them. That's when we can be strong. So our thoughts about the body have everything to do with our ability. We're healing the dismemberment. That's what yoga is meant to do. So another way we can do that is while we sit here, move the arms around in space, up, to the sides, forward, back, whatever you feel like. But as you move the arms around, be very aware of the effect it has on your core. And through this awareness, we can start to see almost in our mind's eye how the arms are a direct outgrowth of the core. The arms don't start at the shoulders. And rewriting the programming as we speak. Good. And then I believe we did this yesterday. We'll recline back onto the support of the hands and then progress even to the elbows. And allow the same pleasure for our legs to feet come up off the floor and let the legs come in towards in the direction of the chest. Maybe reach a leg and then switch. Just little... Exploring, so feeling the core leg connection, in other words. Good. And then from that side, we'll smoothly go to the other side. Good. Then we want to lengthen our legs to the sky for a moment, as though to turn upside down as we rest on the back. So this is a very gentle inversion where we get that inversion feeling, but we can relax. The core is also involved here. So arms at the side. We're going to start to let the legs drop towards the floor, but then with the help of the arms, let the weight of the legs tip us back up to a seated. Beautiful. Crossing the ankles and coming over onto the hands and knees, or however you want to journey there. To revisit the wave today, start first, we want to just feel the two ends of the spectrum. So the first end of the spectrum is to just hang. Let gravity have the weight of your body. Rest on your arms and legs. Head is hanging. Belly's hanging. Breath is coming in and out. In the mind's eye, see, feel, which go hand in hand, seeing and feeling. The curve of your spine. And as you very slowly draw the head up, that curve of the spine deepens like the bow of a bow and arrow. When you pull on the string, the bow bends a little bit more. So visualize and feel your spine as that bow, and you pull on the string until it feels just right. And then caress it with some breath. And then while maintaining tension on the bow, we want to just shift our weight around a little bit. So shifting forward, shifting back. left, right. Get a sense of having sort of a malleability to this posture and an ability to direct the energy of it through the weight distribution. Again, weight converts to energy in the body. You come back to the middle. The middle is the place where you feel equal support from each limb. And then the head and tailbone are going to start to drop. We're venturing to the other end of the spectrum as far as the spine's curve. So the head and tailbone drop, and then continue by drawing the chin even towards the chest further. And imagine rounding your tailbone under. And this kind of creates a squeeze in the tummy area and a spreading along the backside, pressing the arms against the earth, the shoulder blades part. And again, bring in that malleability into the posture. Keep the tension on the bow, on the spine, but just move forward, back, as though to scan the spine and torso, left and right, even circular motion. Good, yeah. And then we're going to come back to what feels like the middle. The belly starts to drop again and the head starts to rise. This initiates the wave. So when the inhale reaches its peak, so does the head. But just like the breath, we seamlessly round the other way again. In synchronicity with the exhale. And the inhale and exhale at your pace. With the fluctuations of the spine, which grow ever more detailed with every motion. So if you've ever taken a hose that was kind of tangled or a rope and you shake one end to kind of get the crimps out, it's kind of like that motion, your spine representing the hose. You shake it at the tailbone, let it ripple up the spine, and the whip crack is at the top of your head. The slow motion whip crack. Let these ripples dissolve any stagnant, stuck energy in the spine felt as stiffness or tension, even pops and cracks that might happen. Imagine that you're lubricating your spine with the motion itself. Nothing about it feels intrusive or imposing. It's just a caress. Let's give our wrists a little break in the supporting roll by going back to the heels. Take the weight off the wrists and go to elbows or even to the forehead or wherever you feel the most natural, so that the gravity can take over, and we just integrate that, even introducing a little rocking of the hips. What I like about that motion is because your knees are pressed against the floor, that rocking goes into the hip joints and give a nice medicinal jostling of those deep inner hip joints. Being the client, the massage client at the same time, a deep breathing and making sure you're letting go on those exhales, shedding the old. Round 2. We go up to the hands and knees again, initiating the wave through the basic up and down fluctuations. And that is our gateway into more exploratory fluctuations, if you will. So you start to let your spine not only go up and down, but venture into the sides and explore the possibilities. This portion really introduces a quality of improv. You don't really know what's coming next. You're just moving head, shoulders, pelvis, and everything in between is free to just go. If you were like a serpentine creature, like a snake, and you didn't have arms and legs, you were literally just a spine, how would you move yourself? If you wanted to get a good stretch in the morning, how would you go about stretching? If you were just a spine, how would you roll around on the ground to create more space for yourself? Except we're just on our hands and knees. The most important ingredient is the intention behind it. And when that intention is loving and caring and sensual, which means enjoyment of the physical, enjoyment of the sensation, that's when the medicine really takes effect. And we start to heal a rigid spine. Good. Let's introduce the next twist like we did yesterday. The right arm is one of your pillars, and that pillar collapses, if you will, and slides under. Good, yeah, under the left arm. Oh, yeah. Resting on the shoulder first, resting on the head. Find out how deep gravity takes you first. And then visualize that increased twist via pressing on the floor or reaching the arm. Visualize it first. See if the body likes the idea. And then execute by pressing on the floor or reaching the arm up to the sky or around your back or whatever feels good. The general idea is enough. You find your own expression of it. What's so beautiful about the twist is it addresses most or all of the length of the spine in one go, and embodies that kind of spiral energy. The untwist is like the harvest of the twist. So your left hand supporting, sliding that right arm out in slow motion. We don't want to rush the harvest. We want to make sure we get all the fruit. So we go slow until that hand returns to the floor, and then let the left arm collapse gracefully and slide under. Pausing at the bottom there with just gravity as the only force at work. Besides the breath. Invite that possibility of a deeper rotation and then go about it with care. The idea of stretch in a way is impersonal. It's like a stretch is something that you do to the body. We want to go more human than just stretching. We want to permeate, penetrate with our awareness deep into the spine. We want it to feel like love, care, kindness. And then the untwist, the harvest. Very nice. And before we come forward, relieving the knees from their weight-bearing role. We're going to just free-form spinal dance again, the hands and knees fixed in place, and just remind the spine, torso, and all that to be fluid, which is to remind the mind itself to be fluid. Good, and then we're going to come forward onto the support of the elbows, resting the front of the legs and belly on the floor. Gravity is the only force that needs to be at work. Just by virtue of resting on the elbows, we have created a curve in the spine that typically focuses on the lower part of the spine. You might feel it more if you jostle your hips left and right a little bit in a fluid fashion. We have inches and feet and millimeters and centimeters and all of these, again, mental impositions on the body. So if we perceive the belly through the filter, the mental filter of inches and feet and all of that, it gives us I perceive as kind of a feeling of small, like a small container. When we let that go for a moment, let the inches and all that go, imagining our belly as vast as the ocean, very expansive, and the breath itself, nothing short of the breeze, the sky caressing the ocean's surface, kicking up waves. The bones that we feel of the spine, the pelvis, equivalent to the ocean floor at the depths of the ocean. It's not very difficult to liberate ourselves from that small container we're used to and to really feel the vastness of our own bodies. If we can be brave enough to look at it, really look at it starkly, the automatic narration of our body, the programming of our body is nothing short of asphyxiating. It literally asphyxiates us over time. It's a lot of the reason our bodies grow weary, tired, stiff, tight. All that are the side effects of a asphyxiating narrative at the core. And it can be really exciting to realize that we can actually free ourselves from that encasement through a little practice, a little reprogramming. Kids don't feel that way. That's why they're so energized. That's why they're so free. That's why they feel in such brightness and color, and we learn how to take on the false, artificial version of the body. Good, especially when we stay here for a while. It would be insensitive to abruptly come out. So we want to really connect the dots in a thorough fashion. this dot to our next dot, which is child's pose again, or really sitting on the heels more than anything. And now how do we connect the dots smoothly and thoroughly? We got to come up off the belly and the pelvis with care. That actually introduces quite a bit of muscle support around the core, not just the front of the core, but the backside too, until we're off of the belly and pelvis and supported by the elbows and knees, and then start to scooch the elbows backwards and taking turns smoothly as we can, and then go to the hands. And then as we sit closer and closer to the heels, that's where the real magic is there. We want to feel the low back open again. And we're going to just sit on the heels. We did this yesterday. And from there, round the face towards the knees. Feel the core start to squeeze and the low back opening up. Deep breath. Now, how does that feel there on that right ankle?
It's a lot better out. And once I get a little higher, like now, I can go.
Okay. I'll just trust you to do whatever feels good there for you. As a rule, we make sure that nothing is screaming in order to do a posture. If something is saying ow, or even the slightest bit of wincing sensation, that's how we know. We got to back up and honor that first. We got to be willing to do that. Because the message we're giving to our body is really profound one. It's like we're proving to our body that we are willing to sacrifice any ego agendas for the sake of love and kindness. And that is a very deep message of the body that instills a sense of trust, which is what leads to the body opening up. So, in a funny way, letting go of flexibility is the gateway to flexibility. Good. Now, what's your range of motion going up from there? What begins to happen?
Sitting on one, so I can go up for a while.
Yeah, without pain.
Right, I'm in the right place for my foot.
Okay, good. So we can just be with that for a moment and breathe. And eventually over time, even if you don't get to it with me, this can progress to that motion.
Yeah,
which,
a long ways down.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's okay. It's just a direction. Yeah, that can get us into that meaty part of the leg, which is nice. But for now, let's just let it be about the ankle and the... Good. From there, actually, we're going to try this out. We're going to stand up on the knees from there. Now, that should take some of the weight off the ankles. Do you feel that? Mm-hmm. And then a distance between the knees that is stable, which usually is about hip distance or so. There's about 8 inches a foot between the knees. That looks about good. Mainly, it's the feeling of your knees below your hips and very relaxed. We're going to bring the hands to the hip area there, and as we gently offer the pelvis forward, something begins to open there, similar to where we were on the floor, but different now because we're vertical. We're oriented vertically in gravity as opposed to facing parallel to the earth. So now we're perpendicular to the earth, and as we start to offer the pelvis forward, we've got weight, which is also energy, on that same part of the spine, that low spine. And just feel that. And then if that feels good, you can play with the idea of looking up a little bit even. It can be a lot. So anytime we do this, whether we're on our knees, we're on our feet, we're in a wide stance, it's always some version of what I call lifting the lid. Something subtly, but yet very intense at the same time is happening. There's like a tremendous powerhouse of energy, the pelvis, especially the base of the pelvis. Something about this spinal curve is the equivalent of like lifting the lid on that container and letting that energy come up. And we don't want to go too far because then it has the reverse effect. We want to contract against it. We want to stay subtle enough so that we can let it have the dilating effect of our central cavity and our central channel and our chest and our heart. And let the medicine work for us. So you're very much in charge of the intensity level here. If looking up is too hot, just turn the gaze forward again and let it be from the chest down. Again and again, I see people flying out of this one just after a few seconds because they always go too far. And when we reverse it, similar destination to the last one. We're going to sit down on the heels again. And with or without the support of the hands, we're bringing the knees together and bringing the face towards the knees again. And when I say knees together, they don't have to come all the way together, but just moving in that direction. And then feel the core squeeze as the face moves towards the knees. And really make sure it's gentle. This is powerful stuff. It's opening up energies in the spine. It's prepping the spine really to be a fit channel for more vital energy to flow. Good. Let's start to venture into the hips now. I'm going to slide onto the hands and knees. And then actually bring one of the knees forward. Either one is fine. Good. Yeah, you got the idea. And that back leg lengthens back, creating a nice opposition of directions here. So the effect it has on the left leg is different from the right. You want to feel the difference and maybe even teeter a little bit. Just, again, scan it. Good, and that gives us a sense of our options. And then say there's an area that feels particularly good. You have the option of continuing down from there, staying on the hands or even progressing to elbows if that feels relaxing and not too much of an imposition. Good, yeah. Deep breaths. Remember, the body is very, very, very big. No such thing as a small movement. And breaths should feel like the atmosphere around the earth, wrapping around the earth. We're just going to allow time. It's not a stretch, but a revelation of something inside of us. Of course, it is us, but every stretch, every area of tension is almost like a semi-exiled aspect of ourselves. And so you think of the posture as an opportunity to bring this aspect of yourself home again. The breath is the breath of the heart that invites all exiled aspects of self back home. Our own bodies have been exiled because of this faulty programming. The objectified body now becoming the lover, the friend again. The way we felt when we were children before we took on the programming. Good. Now we're going to back away with care.
the harvest. And we're going to slide that right leg back till we arrive on hands and knees again. But let's do a little extra here and send that right leg back as a way of just reaching into that leg, reaching into the toes, and body that leg. Deep breath. And then let that knee come to the floor. And then we'll bring the left knee forward. Scan it from the upright. When you like what's happening, then we venture in further. Over time, take as much time as you need. When you breathe, imagine the breath not just in the lungs, but the very area that you feel the lengthening of the tissues. Imagine that part's breathing. Like the breath is being sucked into that area and out from that area. A sense of clearing. As we invite this aspect of ourselves home again. The heart not inside of our chest, but our heart is around us. The heart is not in us, we are in the heart. Think of it that way. And when we breathe, it's us realizing that heart, love, energy field in the body. Exiting the posture without ever leaving. Once we're back onto enough of the support of the hands that we can slide the knee back, and we slide the knee back, and then reach into that leg. Through the heel, through the toes, like we mean it. Like you really want to embody that leg fully. And the knee returning to the floors. We can retreat back to the heels. Drop onto one side. Swing the legs from behind us to in front of us, and then we cross the ankles again. And return to the stillness. Stacked upon our own spine. And since the flow is already so gentle, we'll just do a vertical Shavasana. Shavasana is the time of rest and integration, and we'll just rest here for a moment. Everything is infinite. The universe is infinite. Every grain of sand is infinite. Every moment is infinite. We've only imposed the finite over the infinite. So as we sit here in the stillness, feel the infinity. This is an infinite moment. The track of life perceived and lived
in such a different way from that linear track that we inherit when we live in infinity. Spacious, expansive, vibrant, alive, free. Every moment is a fresh start. Every moment is a shedding, dying and rebirthing simultaneously. That stillness. Beautiful. Namaste.